Okay. So welcome to everybody this morning, beautiful fall Friday. We'll just start, as we always do, seated, centering ourselves, preparing for our practice, getting a little bit more quiet. As we know, in the mornings, the mind is very active, so taking this time for any practice is always a good idea, but especially to start your morning practice, just to kind of settle the brain. So take a moment to cross the legs and try to create balanced sitting bones, not only kind of spreading the flesh out from under you, but kind of shifting your weight forward and back until you find the centers of your sitting bones. And then adjusting your shoulders so that they align above the hips, which for most of us means we have to roll those shoulders back. A lot of us, unfortunately, kind of round the spine and shoulders come forward. So taking a moment to put those shoulders back, spreading the chest. And then see if you can keep that and just bring your hands together in front of your heart and close your eyes. Looking away from your brain. Looking toward your cheeks. And also letting your attention move down to the lowest parts of your body, starting with where you meet the floor or your props. Just kind of sensing your own connection with the earth. We're coming into a standing balancing practice today, and keeping our attention on where we are rooted is a big piece of the puzzle of standing, of balancing, of creating any space in the body. We have to start with our roots. And as you start to acknowledge where you connect with the floor, the props, you might feel a coordinating sense of lightness along your spine, of support, of upward moving energy along the central channel. And as you start to maybe feel like you're growing taller, just keep the gaze pointed down, the shoulders releasing, and still keeping attention in where you meet the floor. And just take a few more moments connecting with your breath, exploring sensation that you've woken up with this morning. And maybe also just inviting some sort of context into your practice this morning. This might be an intention. This might be in the form of a wish or a prayer. It could also be an image or a mantra. Maybe a single word. And sometimes it feels kind of superficial to do that. And in that case, just making a space in your heart, listening for guidance. And keeping your chest lifted, bow toward your heart. Let your hands move onto your thighs. And as you're ready, lift your head. Let your eyes gently come open. And welcome, everyone. Good morning. The bowl is a little cold this morning. It didn't want to sing. Here it goes. Right. So a couple of you were with me on Wednesday, and that's a level 2, but we're going to kind of have a similar class, just a little bit more modified, because level 2 we always include a lot of inversions and stuff like that. But we're going to kind of mimic the Wednesday class using the series of hand to big toe poses to inform our several of our standing poses. And so I'm going to start us on our backs so that we can feel the 4 hand to big toe poses first with utmost support, resting on our backs and just kind of getting the imprinting of those poses in the body without as much effort. So you're going to find your way onto your back, and oftentimes it requires a little bit of head support. We're all used to, most of us are used to sleeping with pillows, and so to have the head flat on the ground sometimes is not a great position for the neck. So what you want to do when you're lying down is make sure that your forehead and chin are at least level, or your chin is lower than your forehead. And all you'll need after that is just your strap. So you can come onto your back. And we're going to start just taking hold of the right leg, bottom of the foot, and extending the leg. And once you have your leg overhead, extend your left leg. You're holding the strap in each hand. You might want to wrap your hands to conserve energy with gripping. And you might want to slide down the strap until you feel your shoulders touch the floor, because that puts us in that same position we were seated in with the shoulders not rounding forward, shoulders in line with hips. And your first priority here is just to find your straight leg. For some of us, that means our leg is not vertical. It might be more diagonal. So just go ahead and find your straight leg. And then as close as you can bring the straight leg to the trunk, of course, you're going to do that. So you're going to kind of find your perfect edge for yourself, where your leg is in full extension and it's as close to your torso as can be. And then I want you to go to your left leg with your attention and just kind of remember that this is your standing leg if you were standing doing this pose. So in other words, that leg has to be active and aligned. So press your left leg into the floor, put your left toes above your left heel, and fully extend that leg as well. So you're squeezing the back of the knee toward the floor. Another thing I want to bring your attention to is for all these poses today, we're going to have one standing leg, one aerial leg. So there's going to be automatic imbalance in the body. And of course, balance is the name of the game today. So to restore balance here, I want you to bring some kind of density or gravity to your to your right leg by compacting the right leg from front to back, rolling the outer right hip away from your shoulder line. And then similarly, I want you to bring a line of energy from your left heel to your left hip. So in other words, that would be an upward moving line of energy if you were standing. So we're restoring balance when there's automatic imbalance in the body because of asymmetry. Okay, so just take a few moments. Another way to think about this is you're clamping your legs together. You're bringing the right and left heels kind of closer to each other. Okay, so I think we've got that. And these kind of teachings carry through all 4 poses. So we don't have to kind of go into each one as in depth. You'll kind of feel all these actions in the 4 poses on each side. So this is Padangustasana 1. Now we'll go into 2, taking the straps into the right hand. Again, you might want to wrap the hand. Extend the left arm to the side. And again, you're going to work with that very straight leg, and that might mean the leg has to come away from the trunk. On an exhalation, take the right leg to the right. And keep attention in your standing left leg. So keeping that pressing into the floor, keeping the toes in line with the heel, keeping minimal space between the back of the left knee and the floor. And again, see if you can kind of draw a nice line of energy from left heel to right hip joint. And bring some gravity, compact the right thigh front to back. Just creating more balance in your body. Way more interested in the straightness of the leg than how close the right leg is to the floor. Breathing. Okay, so this is Padangustasana, meaning sideways. And now we're going into Paragustasana, meaning revolving. So you're going to move your leg back to center, pass your straps to your left hand, reach your right arm out perpendicularly to the side, perpendicular from the trunk. And then on an exhalation, you're going to bring the right leg to the floor on the left as close as you can. Stack your hips right above left. Both legs are straight. Go back to your standing leg, left leg, and you should be on the outer edge of the foot now. And then try to roll your outer right ribs back toward the floor. Revolve the torso left to right, restoring balance in the body. Good. And now guide your leg back to center and come onto your back again. The fourth and final Padangustasana is just kind of a deeper version of the first one. So you're going to go back to the starting position, separate the hands, create more equanimity between the legs, so clamp the heels toward one another. Take an in-breath, and then some of you have a straight bent knee, so go ahead and straighten that right leg. Good. Take an in-breath, and on your exhale, lift your head, bring your head toward your knee, really anchor into the left leg, and spread the elbows wide so that you have a broad chest. Soft gaze. Finish up your exhale and rest your head. Start to bend your right knee, unstrap the foot, step your foot down, and extend the leg. And I promise all of you, if you were to hover over your body and look at it, you'd see your right heel is now sitting farther along the mat than your left. So we've lengthened the leg. So we're going to go in and take hold of the left foot. So start with bent knees. It's a little easier on the back. And then grab hold of your left foot. And then once you have it, extend the leg. And once you have your leg extended up above, extend your right leg. Squeeze it against the floor. Align the right leg. Compact it front to back. Find your straightest left leg and then bring it as close to the trunk as you can. And notice how you might feel like your left hip is hiking. So cut the outer left hip away from the shoulder line. Compact the left leg front to back. See if you can move a line of energy from right heel to right hip socket. Good. Taking that into Paragustasana 2, hand to big toe pose 2. So this is Parshva, where we take the leg sideways. Both straps end up in left hand. Right arm unfolds to the side. And on an exhalation, take that left leg to the left. Keep it straight and keep it as close to the shoulder line as you can. Revolve the torso left to right to restore balance to the right side body. Remember, if you were standing, would this work standing, is the question. You have to find ways to equalize the pose that creates balance. Perfect. So you're going to use an exhalation to bring the leg back to midline. And once you bring it there, then pass your straps to right hand for Padangustasana. And extend left arm sideways. So by the way, Padangustasana means hand to big toe pose. So if you're able to grab your big toe without the strap, that would be what you'd want to do. But for most of us, we work with a strap. Okay, so in breath here, and on your exhale, left leg moves right, the hips stack, and you move to the outer edge of your right leg, outer edge of the right foot. I'm hitting my wall here, but you can take the leg as close to the floor as you can, and then roll your outer left ribs back to the floor. Keep that bottom leg firm and straight and stabilizing. This is your standing leg. This will be your standing leg in revolving half moon pose in a little while, which is a big doozy of a pose. So you really want to get the wise actions into your standing leg here to really imprint the body with those stabilizing actions. Good. So finish out your exhalation and then ease yourself back to center on your back and return to splitting your strap into each hand. Return to the back of your right leg, grounding the right leg into the floor. Big in breath. Exhale, lift your head. Bring your head toward your knee and also bring your left thigh toward your body. Spread the elbows wide so the chest is broad. Both legs are fully extended. And after an exhale, release your head down. Bend your left knee. Take the strap away and just put it off to the side. Extend your left leg and just be passive. Unfold your arms. Let your legs become soft, effort-free, releasing all those wise actions, all the effort. Sometimes noticing after the series what space into the body translates into the brain, you might feel a little bit more calm or quiet. Space in the body, space between thoughts. We're just taking a couple moments to integrate all of that. And then as you're ready, you can bend your knees and just kind of help yourself to either side. We're going to be moving into some standing work now. We're going to go through those 4 Padangustasanas with a chair. And then we're going to partner the chair version of the pose with a standing balancing pose. So that's kind of the structure of the class. So what I want to say about the chair is you don't own the backless yoga chair. Any standard desk chair, dining room table chair is fine. And you can work, depending on the tightness of your legs, of your hamstrings, of your calf muscles, you might prefer to use the seat of the chair. Or you might be able to use the higher part of the chair. If you're using the higher part of the chair, I recommend padding it a little bit so that you have more comfort for the back of the ankle. So we're going to start in Paragustasana 1, which is the leg straight in front of us. You can face the back or the front of the chair, your choice. And it looks like, am I decapitated? I'm going to fix my screen here a little bit. There we go. So find a way to bring your right ankle or heel, if you're using the chair seat, onto your chair. And what you want to do is position yourself away from the chair so that your standing left leg is vertical. And then using support, you might need to touch a wall or you might need to kind of grab your chair. You want to make sure your standing leg toes are aligning in front of your heel. So one thing that happens in standing one-legged poses is we turn out the foot, which makes us feel more stable, but actually it's destabilizing. So align your toes in front of your heel, more specifically align your second toe with your heel. So once you're there, bring your hands to your hips. And just acknowledge the imbalance that occurs here. We dump into the standing leg, we float the aerial leg. So to balance for that, bring a line of energy from your left heel up to your left hip joint and really press your right ankle into your chair or your right heel if you're on the chair seat. So that you're kind of restoring some balance here. Look straight ahead, and with your gaze kind of on the horizon line, notice how it equalizes your spine. So we're not rounded forward, we're not overly arched, we have a neutral spine. Okay, active right toes above right heel. All right, now safely just switch it over to the left. We want to have both legs have the same experience. So you'll find your way to placing the ankle or the heel of the left leg. You're going to check in with your right foot, put the toes in line with the heel. Once you're there, you're going to grab hold of your hips. Try to squeeze the elbows together a little bit so that you can broaden the chest. And activate both legs. Lift up on the right standing leg, press into the chair with the left leg. Good. And now safely help yourself down. Okay, so the version of that we're going to kind of translate to for standing balance is Warrior 3. And of course in Warrior 3, the aerial leg goes behind us rather than in front of us. But we still have the same relationship with gravity. So it's a good pose to kind of work with. So 2 blocks in front of you. If you prefer to use the chair seat, if your balance is a little bit compromised today, you could substitute the seat of your chair for the blocks. The seat of the chair should be higher than the blocks. It's a good substitute if you're feeling A little bit compromise with balance. We're going to step away from the blocks of the chair seat so that when we come forward, our hands are under our shoulders. So separate your feet hip distance, raise the arms, and create vertical space in your body. Come to the top of an inhalation, and on an exhale, hinging at the hips, lengthen forward and touch your prop, whether it's the chair or the blocks. So this is half standing forward bend. It's our starting position for Virabhadrasana 3, Warrior 3. First, just find extended legs, active legs, hips above heels. Lift your belly toward your back. Take an in-breath, and on your exhalation, you're going to extend the left leg back behind you. Look through your pose and see that your left toes are in line with your left hip, that your left toes are pointing straight down. There's a tendency to push into the standing leg hip side, so draw the right hip bone toward midline. Extend fully through that left heel. Look forward and bring more levelness to your sacrum. Lift up on the standing leg, bring some false weight, cut the outer left hip down. Beautiful. Exhale, lower the leg with extension. So in other words, don't drop the leg. Come back to half standing forward, then look forward, big in-breath. On the exhale, extend the right leg back. And again, peek through your pose. Point those toes straight down. Bring the heel into alignment with the hip. Some of us float wide, some of us float narrow. So align the heel with the hip. Restore balance between the legs. Look forward. Level off your lower back. Roll the outer right hip down. Lift up on the standing leg. Bring some buoyancy where there's heaviness. Beautiful. These look great. With nice control, lower the right leg. Look forward. Bend your knees and take hold of your hips and help yourself stand up. Wonderful. We can put blocks aside for now. We're going on to Warrior 2. Sorry, Padangustasana 2, not Warrior 2. So this time, we're going to be orienting ourselves from sideways to the chair. And the chair will be to the right, for the right side. So again, you have the option to use the high part of the chair or the low. So you have to decide for yourself. We want to bring the right leg onto the chair. If you're using the seat, it's the heel. If you're using the high part, it's the ankle. So you have to distance yourself away from the chair enough that you have that vertical standing leg. And that's one benefit of these Zoom classes is we can kind of see ourselves. Well, it depends how you have your settings. If you have the classroom setting, you can see yourself. If you're in speaker mode, you're just seeing me. But hopefully you can see the standing leg is vertical. Okay, extended leg here, the right leg. Take your right hand to the inner right knee or thigh and press. And help revolve your torso from right to left because we tend to pull toward the right side here. So we want the shoulders and hip points to square off with that long end of the mat. Okay, you're compacting the right leg down, so press into the chair, and you're lifting your standing leg up. Good. Raise your arms, and just create that sense of vertical space in your body. One thing to note when you raise the arms like this is, did your eyebrows go up? Relax your temples, relax your eyebrows. Good. Okay, same thing, other side. So you're going to help yourself step down. Always do that in a safe way. So that's intuitive. Safely get yourself down and over to the other side with support. And then you're going to help yourself set up the left side. Okay, so peek at your standing leg foot. Try to see the toes directly in line with the heels. Both legs are as straight as they can be. Your left kneecap should be looking up. So if you're rotated, you're going to want to correct that and have the kneecap looking straight up. Same with the toes. And then holding your hips, steer yourself to turn away from left leg so that we're revolving the torso a little bit to equalize. And then when you have that, suck your outer right hip bone in and raise the arms. And not the eyebrows. And look straight ahead. Equalize your spine just by looking onto a soft horizon line. Good. So when we're in a pose and we've built it with integrity, you should have your attention kind of throughout the entire body simultaneously. It's a global sense of awareness. Beautiful. Help your hands down. Safely help your foot come down. Okay, so we're going to translate Padangustasana 2, hand to big toe pose 2, Paragustasana, into half moon pose. So one standing leg, one aerial leg again. So you're going to put your blocks to each back end of your mat, one on each side. Again, feel free to use your chair seat if you want to really maximize and refine the pose without so much stress and strain of balancing. Sometimes the balancing robs us of the finer points of the work. So if you feel like you'd rather focus on refining the pose, maybe use the chair seat instead of the block. Okay, so we're going to jump or step out. We're going to be working to the right side first. So as you're ready, without gaining a lot of vertical height, separate the feet wide. Good. And just release your hands to your hips now as we set up the legs. You're going to toe out with the right toes. Toe in with the left toes. We're going to come in through triangle pose. Revolve your torso back to squaring up the hips and shoulders. Make sure your knee didn't rotate on the right. Reach the arms up and open. Keep the upper arms where they are and rotate from elbows to fingertips. Good. Big in-breath. Exhale, extending to the right. Lengthen the right side body. Take your hand to your chair seat or your block. Align your wrist with your shoulder and place your left hand on your left hip. So for a lot of us, we feel the right buttock pushing back. We need to equalize that. Bring the right buttock forward. Bring your left shoulder back. Bring your head back. This is going to help you when we're balancing. Good. So from here, you're going to start to bend right knee. Keep it tracking with the toes. Don't let it waver around. Step your block or chair forward or slide that chair, probably easier. Step in with your left foot. And on an exhalation, you're going to launch, lifting the left leg, straighten, fully extend your standing leg. If you're pivoting that foot, that standing leg foot, try to roll your right inner thigh toward the outer thigh. Stack the top arm if you're able to support that. Good, lift up on your standing leg. Beautiful, take your hand back to your hip. Step back with the left foot, return to your triangle starting position. You can take the top arm up. And on an in-breath, lift yourself out of there. Realign your toes to point forward and jump or step back in. Good work. Okay, so we got a little wobbly there. I saw a lot of wobbliness. So we'll see if we can get a little more steady on the left side. You're going to set yourself up. Maybe it's the block, maybe it's the chair seat, so that you have what you need on the left. And then as you're ready, you can jump or step out. Okay, so setting up the legs, we're going to take those left toes out, right toes in. So I think part of the reason we were wobbly on the last side is I saw a lot of your standing legs pivoting. So we're really going to do our best to keep our left toes pointing directly to the left. Revolve your torso back to the right a little bit so you're squared off with shoulders and hips. So dusty back toward me. There you go, awesome. Raise the arms, open the arms, and revolve elbows to fingertips. Good, squeeze your legs, squeeze the quadriceps. Inhale, exhale, extending left. Take your hand to the chair or the block. Position it in line with the shoulder. Take your right hand onto your right hip. Try to roll the left buttock toward the camera, the right hip crest away from the camera, the right shoulder back. We're going to pay very close attention to that left standing leg as we transition to balancing half moon. So start to bend left knee. It's tracking with the toes. Step the block forward. Step in with your right foot. Remind your left leg to keep position as you exhale and fully extend that left leg. Roll that left buttock forward. Maybe stack that top arm. Give a sense of purpose, of density to your aerial leg, the light leg. Give a sense of lightness to your standing leg. Lift from the left heel to the left hip joint. Good. Steadier. Unless everybody just froze. I'm just kidding. Take your hand back to your hip and start to kind of rewind those steps, returning to that starting triangle position. On an in-breath, lift yourself out. That's very important for the lower back especially. We keep lines of energy preserved as we exit the poses. You can jump or step back in. And just take a mountain pose here. We're halfway through the series of Padangustasanas. Just take a moment to close the eyes, align your standing position in mountain pose. Drop the shoulders. Lengthen from the tailbone all the way out through the top of your head. Holding the torso with a spaciousness. Compacting your legs, compacting your buttocks from the back to the front. Just allowing the waves of breath to roll through. Planting your feet, sensing roots beneath your feet. Good. So we'll go into Paragustasana, revolving hand to big toe pose, again, starting with the chair. And it's facing the chair again, so your choice, high or low. Low is a little bit more modified, so if you need low, go low. And again, we'll start with the right leg elevated. So it's the heel if you're on the chair seat, it's the ankle if you're on the high part of the chair. And I'm fortunate that I'm set up by a wall. If you have the potential to set up near a wall, in general, for your practice, it's a good idea because you can always use the wall to stabilize. So I'm helping myself with the wall there because I'm trying to get my standing foot a little bit more aligned, toes in front of heel. Okay, so we're going to start in Padangustasana 1, hands on the hips. And then raise your left arm and bring your left hand onto your right outer thigh. And use that to help you turn, revolve the trunk to the right. Be aware of your standing leg. And as you feel like the shoulders start to become more square with each other, then you're going to extend the right arm out to the side to keep your chest really broad, spacious. Nice. Okay, so lifting through the crown, come back to center. Bring your hands back to your hips. And then help yourself switch over to the other side. So I don't know if it's my camera angle, your camera angle, but there was a little wobbliness with some of you on that one. And what I saw was that a lot of people didn't have a vertical standing leg. So there's a reason that pillars in rooms are vertical, they're not diagonal, because we have way more stability when we're aligning like a pillar. So really take some time with the second side. It's hard to see yourself, but if you have an ability to see, well, here's what you can do. We can't see ourselves unless we have our Zoom screen set up that way, but you can sense if your standing leg foot is balanced. If you're all on your toes, you know you're too far forward. If you're all on your heel, you know you're too far back. So balance the weight on the right foot. That'll give you a good sense of security that you've stabilized that leg in alignment. Okay, start here. Raise the arms. We're going to just raise the right arm actually. And then on an exhale, take the right hand to the left thigh and pressing against the thigh, the outer thigh, turn, revolve your trunk to the left. Really straighten your standing leg and lift your standing leg up into the hip joint. And keep digging into the chair through the heel or the ankle with your left leg. So we're equalizing the legs. That's very stabilizing. At the last moment, you're going to reach out that left arm. And you can either look to the left side or you can look back. If you're stable enough, you can look back at your left arm. Try to suck the outer left hip bone to midline. Hip compaction is very stabilizing. Finish out your exhale and inhale will bring you back out of the twist. And you can raise both arms for a moment. And then release the arms. Safely help yourself down. So if you are wobbly, I might suggest using your chair seat for this next one, because this is our probably most challenging pose for this class, revolving half moon. If your balance is pretty good today, you might work with 2 blocks. So again, I'm going to leave that up to you. Only you know what would be the best choice today. So either set up your chair seat to the right or your 2 blocks to the right. Yep, as you're ready, I see some of you preemptively getting ready to jump or step out. You can do that. This is one of the poses where we square the hips. You're going to toe out with the right toe, weigh in with the left, and point your hips at the right end of the mat. Beautiful. Both legs are straight, and sometimes the back leg gets forgotten. Compact the back leg front to back, so straighten it. Turn your hips manually. Bring your right hip back, your left hip forward. Move your tailbone into your body to neutralize the pelvic tilt. Just like we came into half moon from triangle, we're coming into revolving half moon from revolving triangle. So with your hands on your hips, keep your right elbow kind of clamped in. Raise your left arm. Come to the top of an in-breath, and on your exhale, extend forward and place your left hand either in line with left shoulder or kind of in line with the right shoulder. So it's your choice if you're crossing the body or you're going to go to kind of a more modified, staying within the space of that right foot. Your choice. But start to revolve your torso to the right. Compact the outer right hip bone toward midline. Keep both legs straight. Take a moment to raise the top arm and either look out to the side or up, so the back of the head faces the floor. So this is revolving triangle. We want to come into revolving half moon with the arm down. So go ahead and bring your right hand back to your right hip. You're going to bend your right knee. Remember to track with the toes. Step your block or push your chair forward. Step in with your left foot. And on an exhale, launch your pose. Lift the aerial left leg. Fully extend both legs. Keep revolving your torso to the right. Move the outer right hip bone in. And if it's available to you, stack the top arm. Okay, so lifting the standing leg, bringing some sense of weight and purpose to your aerial leg so it's not just floating away in the breeze. Bring your hand back to your hip. Step down with the right foot. Bring your blocker chair back in. Restore the revolving triangle pose. Bring the right hand back to the right hip. And you're going to leave the pose with the left hand coming off and up. Windmill all the way up and open. Good. And we'll come back to center. Close your eyes, drop your shoulders. Look away from your brain. And as you feel ready, you can set up for your second side. You can work with the blocks or chair in the same side of your mat or move them like I'm going to do. And then feel free to jump or step out. And we'll be turning to face the left end of the mat. So take the left toes out, right toes in. Straighten both legs. Neutral pelvic tilt. So tip that, for most of us, we have to tip the pelvis back a little bit. Good. We'll keep the left hand on the left hip, raise the right arm. And on an exhale, lengthen forward, either going kind of aligning with the right shoulder or placing a hand crossing the body, moving to the outer left foot for a deeper pose. We're coming into revolving triangle first. So on an exhale, start to turn to the left. Draw your left hip toward midline, compact the hips. If you sense your shoulders come into a line, a vertical line, take the top arm up, otherwise keep your hand on your hip. And if you did take the arm up, you're going to bring it back down now to transition into revolving half moon. You'll bend that left knee, step that blocker chair forward, step in with your right foot. On an exhale, lift your right leg, revolve the torso, keep your standing leg straight, and maybe take the top arm up. Begin to reverse the steps back to revolving triangle. Bring that left hand back to your left hip. And on an inhale, you're going to leave the pose with the right hand coming off the block or the chair, up and open. Kind of windmill yourself out of it. Extend the arms. And jump or step back in. Let your breath be smooth. Drop your shoulders. And then we'll come into our fourth and final Padangustasana, which is basically a deeper version of the very first hand to big toe pose. So if you remember when we were on our backs, this is the one where we lifted the head. So we'll come back to the chair. And again, upper or lower chair, facing the chair. And you'll step away from the chair enough that you're able to be vertical on your standing leg. So you're going to start with propping the right leg. So not only do we dump into standing leg, we push out into that hip. So right away, lift up on your left femur bone and draw the left hip bone to midline. Press your right ankle or heel into your chair. Give that leg a sense of purpose and weight. Take your arms up. Create space. Come to the top of an inhale, and on your exhale, extend forward but without rounding your back. Lead with your chest rather than your chin. Relax your eyebrows. And on an in-breath, bring yourself back up, upright. Bring your hands down. And help yourself switch to the left leg being the aerial leg. That was concave lumbar forward bend. We're going to do the full forward bend in a moment. So this is just the kind of the half position so that we have the integrity to keep the chest open and the back really long. Standing leg foot in alignment. Hip compaction, equalize the legs, raise the arms. Come to the top of an in-breath on an exhale, lengthen forward. keeping the low back either flat or concave. Lead with your chest. Come to your edge. Just stay for a couple of breaths. Inhale up, and exhale, release the arms. Good. So we get to do this again because, like I said, we're going to come into the full forward bend. But for most of us, grabbing the foot is not an option. So you're going to have your strap in addition to the chair. So right foot, again, will be the aerial leg foot propped. So it's not quite aerial, but we get the idea. And then we're going to grab hold of the bottom of that right foot. Okay, so you're holding your strap, equalize the legs, all the wise actions, take an in-breath, and on your exhale, pull yourself toward the leg, coming through that concave starting position, concave lumbar, and then wrap your hands, come closer to the foot, take another in-breath, and on your exhale, wing the elbows out, so you're keeping your chest broad, and align your torso with your right leg. Good. These look great. Again, it looks like your cameras froze, so that's a good thing. Not really, I don't think they did freeze. I just think you guys look very stable. Okay, look forward, come back through concave lumbar position, and lengthen yourself back up. Good. And then safely transition to elevating the left leg and standing on your right. So the full forward bend, but coming through the half forward bend first. So grab hold of left arch of your foot between the ball mounds and the heel. Good. Stabilize your legs, lift up with the right leg, press the left leg into the chair, squeeze your hips together, inhale, exhale, halfway forward. Try to align your breastbone with your left leg. Keep your right leg very firm. Take another in-breath. On your exhale, wrap your hands, come as close to your foot as you can, bow deeply over the left leg, spread the elbows out and up. You guys look awesome. Awesome. Go ahead and look forward and come up. Safely get out of there. We're done with this chair, so you can just kind of put it off to the side, out of your way. You can also put your strap away off to the side. We're coming back to the same pose we mimicked Padangustasana 1 with, Warrior 3, except we're going to take it deeper. So we're coming into standing splits. That being said, it's just Warrior 3, and I'll show you quickly, because I definitely can't do standing splits and never been able to. But you can come from Warrior 3 and take the torso lower and the aerial leg higher. And eventually your legs will be completely split, or they won't. But you can always work towards a deeper position. So we're going to come back to the Warrior 3 position. So the blocks are in front of you, then you have the option to use a chair seat instead. Separate the feet hip distance. Be far away enough from your blocks or chair that you're going to be able to be 90 degrees with your hips. And then raise your arms. Exhale, bring your hands down to the chair or the blocks. Okay, so firm your legs, look forward, in breath. On the exhale, extend left leg, Warrior 3 position. But before we go deeper, we're going to be trying to align the chest with the right leg. So you might need to move your props just a little bit to the right. That being said, don't let your aerial legs swing out. Big in-breath, exhale, bring your chest closer to your right leg and your aerial leg higher, but keep cutting the outer left hip down. These look beautiful. Good, straight legs, like you mean it. Take it any amount higher. Inhale back through warrior three, look forward, level the sacrum if it kind of shifted. With control, lower the left leg. You're back in Virabhadrasana 3. You might need to recenter your props for that starting position. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, raise the right leg. And again, you might need to shift props now to the left so that you're aligning your torso with that standing leg. Big in-breath, exhale, bow deeply toward standing leg. Let your elbows widen to the sides to keep your chest broad. You might be able to see your right foot, toes winding down. Don't let your toes fan out. Roll your inner right thigh up. Any amount higher with the leg. Any amount deeper, chest toward left thigh. Inhale, look forward and align that right leg level with the floor, and then lengthen it back to the floor. Separate your feet almost to the edges of your mat. You can lose your blocks and either set your hands gently down or grab your elbows. Make sure your toes are in front of your heels. You're going to stay in resting Uttanasana for 5 breaths, and then you're going to switch the crossing of the arms. Go ahead and change the crossing of your arms if you are crossing arms. If not, just 5 more breaths. Go ahead and release your hands, bend your knees. Use your stomach muscles to support your spine coming back up. We're going to finish on our backs with supported bridge, and then we'll come into Shavasana. So get what you need for Shavasana. You might be in a cold setting. You might want a blanket to cover up with. And then you'll also just want one block for your supported bridge pose. Come on to your back. And you're going to choose what height of block you're going to use. It could be low, medium, tall. Just lift your hips enough that you can place the block across the lower back. And keep your feet wide, almost to the edges of the mat. Keep your toes in front of your heels. And then try to keep your arms on your mat so that we can really kind of tuck the shoulder blades toward the chest. We can lift the chest that way. Rock your head until the back of the neck comes closer to the floor. And try to take the tip of the tailbone toward the ceiling. So it's going to feel like you're pushing your lower back into the block a little bit. Stepping into your feet enough that you might be able to allow the buttocks to soften a bit more. Every time you breathe in, invite your chest toward your chin. And when you breathe out, keep it there. Don't let it sink back. Looking away from your brain toward your cheeks. Soften the abdomen. And now pressing the feet into the floor enough that you can lift your hips up and slide your block away. And you're going to start to set up for Shavasana. If you need to take any more movements, you're going to take them now. And also take some time to arrange so that you're supported. Again, you might get a little head support. You might like something folded behind the knees. You might like to cover up, like I said earlier. Maybe your eyes want a little something over them to keep them softly closed. And coming into this pose of least effort. Closing your eyes and looking away from your brain. Letting as much of the weight of yourself sink into the floor as you can. Sensing your breath, breathing you spontaneously. And just kind of do a little body scan from head to feet. Kind of sending out this widespread message of surrender. Maybe you're still holding a little bit in your face. It's a common area for us to kind of keep tension on some level. So try to relax around all your sense organs, the ears, the eyes, nose, mouth, even inside the mouth, the tongue, and also the skin of the face. Releasing any tension or tightness from your jaw, from your throat. Letting the shoulders rest on the floor. Releasing tension in the abdomen. The pelvis, the hips, the groins. Letting the muscles of the legs break free from the bones. All the effort of the legs from the standing practice is falling away here. Releasing tension from the feet. Giving yourself over to the next cycles of your breath. Just giving your full attention, but as if you're watching that breath from a distance, not trying to orchestrate or direct the breath at all. You might think about your breath like waves, gentle waves lapping up onto shore, rolling back to the big sea. This practice of balancing is really about moderation. And so maybe taking these final moments in Shavasana just to maybe kind of identify any areas in your life that feel out of balance, out of whack, maybe under attention, over attention, obsessiveness, neglect. See how we can restore balance to our lives in this way. Just bring a couple deeper breaths into these last few moments of Shavasana. Just kind of think about cleansing the body with breath. Bringing in strength, vitality, ease, joy, peace. On the exhale, just releasing anything that's not serving your best interest. And when the time is right, restoring the easiest breath flow, the automatic breathing. Inviting very simple movement into your body through your fingers and toes, your wrists, your ankles, your head, your neck. Starting to bend your knees and elbows. Folding your hands onto your belly. And from there, easing to either side. Just spend a few moments on your side. And from side lying, see if you can come up with minimized effort, keeping the brain quiet, keeping the body quiet. And when you find yourself seated, sit in a way that supports a sense of brightness in the spine. So let the spine be a stem, a strong stem for the brain to sit upon. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Relax your face. Maybe notice the corners of the mouth turning up. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose. And let it go. From the place within me that I know to be divine, I honor that place within each of you. Namaste. All right. Well, thank you all for being here. Nice to see so many of you this morning. And I hope you have a beautiful weekend. Next week we'll do forward bends. And take good care. Come back soon. Bye, everyone.